Trust and fear. Trust and fear are difficult dynamics that have to be sorted through if harm is happening. This scene portrays one of participants' worst fears.
So this is James's sister Samantha, this is James here, this is James here, and this is Miss Green. This is Miss Green, the social worker, okay, just so we've got an idea. Okay, nice and loud if you can, guys. 3, 2, 1, go.
If you just take him through and then I'll meet you once we're finished and we'll have a chat.
Okay. He's out of the way now.
He's out of the way now. We know what we need to get done.
Yep, we do.
We know that he has to have somebody else in control. And he needs somebody like yourself to do that.
Yep.
So, are you prepared to take the control of things for him?
Yes, I am.
Yes, you are. Come back and we'll tell him that.
Okay.
Have a nice cup of tea. Did you enjoy your tea? Good. Now I can assure you everything's been sorted and you just have to just sit and don't worry about it. It's all done. We'll look after everything, look after you. Okay? Don't worry about anything. I'm going to write a few notes, okay?
Good. And give them a clap.
This scene helped our group discuss many questions about trust. Lack of trust can be present between different people with different consequences.
In terms of trust in that scene, do we think there was any trust in that?
No, why was James's back to the audience all the time?
Okay, so James was actually looking the other way to the other two. Okay, which was one of the issues. Yeah. Okay, so that was that. What about anything else to do with trust? Was there any trust in the scene?
James told a lot of it. They just told him what they were going to do, and he seemed to have no reply to that.
So, James had kind of been told what was happening, and he had no reply to that in some ways. Yeah?
Well, facing a wall.
Okay, ended up. I mean, it was quite an interesting, because I know you said why has he got his back to the image, but back to the audience, but it was quite an interesting image, wasn't it? Really, of James just being kind of stuck in the corner, facing the wall, really, while these two people were talking about him.
Yeah.
What do other people think? Was there any trust in that exercise?
No.
There wasn't any trust in there, no.
No.
And what was the reason that there wasn't any trust? Why was there no trust?
Because James wasn't informed.
James wasn't informed. Okay, so information, that's one of the things we haven't necessarily touched on particularly, but information is one of the things that can help build trust. Sorry?
One of the key things.
One of the key things we think maybe information is. Okay. Do we think, I'm just talking about trust here, but do we think there is, what about the relationship between the sister, Samantha, and Miss Green, the social worker? Do we think they trust each other?
Yes.
They do trust each other. So there was some trust in there.
But it's exclusive trust.
Exclusive trust.
It's trust that excludes rather than is a basis to build inclusive trust.
Okay. So trust isn't always a good thing necessarily, is it? I'm just putting that out there because I saw the same thing. I saw trust between these two, but in a bigger situation, I wasn't sure whether that was necessarily a good thing or not. What do people think?
It depends on how the trust is used. And from that, James would just cancel and they did it all and arranged it all for himself, and no matter what he could have said, they just would arrange the package around what they were doing.
Okay. If this was, I'm just thinking about the other way around. If there was a lot of trust between Miss Green and James, there was a lot of trust in this scene, but there was very little trust between Miss Green and James's sister. So there was a lot of trust here, but very little trust here. Would that be a better better picture than the one that we've got now? You think yes, Maureen? Why do you think? Why do you think that would be better? Don't know. Okay. What about other people? Do we think that would be better if there was trust here? You guys as well can answer. But there wasn't much trust here.
Well, the person that's at the centre of it all should trust the person who's there to support them and help them.
Okay. The person who's at the centre of it all should be able to be trust the person that could support them or help them, and that's Miss Green. That isn't his sister.
No, I'm sorry, I wouldn't trust another person that I didn't ken. It's like, you've got to really know them before you trust them.
You've got to know them before you trust them. Okay.
I don't trust the sister, no.
If you're stuck in it, if you're thrown into a crisis situation, you don't always get a chance to get to know anyone before there's a meeting and stuff like
True.
that.
But I would probably trust the family before I would trust
Yeah.
the social. People that I know, I would trust them more than the person, the social worker.
But maybe one of the hard things is how can a person at the centre convey to a social worker if they don't trust the sister, if they don't trust their family? How does a social worker go about finding that out?
You'd be surprised if there is a breakdown in trust. You'd be surprised how very difficult it is even to convey if the sister has lost faith or trust in you. You'd be surprised how very difficult it is to convey the fact that you are making an effort and to win back the trust is very difficult.
To win back.
It can be a shut door situation.
Okay. So that idea of winning back trust can be something really difficult once it's gone. It's a very difficult thing.
It's very difficult.
I'm just thinking that if you're in that situation, you don't trust your family, you can be afraid to say that to the social worker because you want to appear like you're cooperative and you can be trusted. And if the first thing you say to the social worker is, I don't trust my sister, you might put yourself in a disadvantage.
It really does be a disadvantage doing it that way.
So how can you let the social worker know that you don't trust your family without damaging what she thinks of you?
Well, the family probably know that you don't trust them anyway, so I mean, I think that would have to be up front when the social worker came into it. With the family aggro and the intensity between the family, that would be, I think the social worker should be told that that's the situation.
But is that an easy thing for a person to do or a difficult thing?
Difficult.